Hi, this is Born in 62, I'm Henrik Jurs. Recently I've been talking about how you move on after some drastic changes in your life. Something that you didn't plan for, didn't wish for, didn't want, but something that happened anyway and left you maybe more or less shocked, more or less sorry, but now you have come to accept it and you have to move on in your life. I've talked about this, how you have to set a timeline and look at what is in the past and what is in the present and what you want for the future, how you are going to take charge, and then how you're going to focus on your options. Your options can be very specific and some of them can be very simple. You need a car to keep your new job, and should you take a loan and buy the car now and then try to pay the mortgages one by one over the coming month, or should you wait and save up and buy the car when you have all the money? That is very specific and that is quite simple. You can sit down, maybe have some help figuring out what is best for you, what you can manage. But sometimes, and this is what I'm going to talk about today, you need to access your own skills, what you have going for you, what you can do, your competences. Especially if you are seeking a new kind of employment, want a new job, or if you want to start on an education of some sort, and you're really not too sure about yourself. Can you do this? Do you have the skills needed? Do you have what it takes to get into this and do well? So in that respect you want to access or evaluate your skills and maybe just be aware of them. Some people have skills that they don't really think about. So what I will show you today is 2 simple tools to try to describe your own personal skills, your own business skills, skills in other walks of life, but 2 simple tools you can use. So we'll look at them. Okay, the first tool is called PBR stories. You simply sit down with some paper and pen and think of any kind of good results you have created. And you don't have to have saved world peace or cured cancer. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about everyday things that you have experienced and that went well. It can be huge successes where you really did well, but it can also just be that something wasn't going right and you kind of fix it. So while it wasn't a huge success, it wasn't as bad as it could have been. And it can be in all walks of life. It don't have to be your job or your education. It can also be family matters or something with friends or social events, whatever. So you really have just to think about what have made you feel good in the last couple of years. What have you done? What have you experienced? What kind of stories do you have to tell? Most people find it most easy to start with the results. That really went well. That really made me feel good. So you start your story here and you kind of tell it to yourself. It's an exercise in itself to tell stories, so tell it to yourself. Maybe out loud, maybe just inside your head. But tell the story about what went well, what did you do good. And then move on to this, how did you do it? This is actually the what did you do. So you can say what, how and why. You remember that one, the golden circles? Anyway, what, how and why. So how did you do it? What was your behavior? What were you doing? How did you manage to do this? Who did you talk to? What do you say? What kind of calculation did you do? What kind of other activities was your behavior in that given situation? And then we'll move up to this one, your personality. That is where your skills, your personal skills are. You had that behavior because of your personality. When several people in your larger family was having a fight over something, you stepped in and talked to each of them and made them come together and it was sorted out. That was your behavior, because you have this personality that you can sit down with people, make them trust you, make them listen to you, listen to them, and then get it all together and make them reason and make them see that maybe it isn't that bad, as I said. So what is your personality then? You're a great mediator, you're a great communicator, you're good at making people see things in a different light, and so on. So this is an exercise you can do over and over with different stories, take different results, look at your behavior, and then get down to what are your personal skills, what are your competences here. It can be a bit hard sometimes to access your own personal skills, because we all have a self-image, and if it is not in line with this, you can have conflicting images of yourself or beliefs about yourself. Especially if your belief about yourself is negative, then it can be very hard to do this. That's why we have a second tool, but we need someone to help us. So we'll look at that now. This is the second tool, and it kind of reminds of the other one, because you're actually doing the same, but you have other people to help you. And that is the hardest part of this exercise, that is to find someone who can help you. My experience is that it works best if you have someone. They don't have to be complete strangers, but your very close relatives are not the best people to use, because they have a picture of you in their heads already. They have beliefs about how you are, and they maybe sometimes they can have a hard time seeing you in a different light. So if not strangers, then people who are not that close to you will work best. So the hardest part is actually to find someone who will work with you. After that, this is almost the same tool as before, but with a lot of help. This is you. You're the storyteller, and you will tell a story. And like last time, you will tell about some good results. And like last time, it doesn't have to be that you stopped a war or saved the panda or anything like that. It just had to be something you did that went well and made you feel good. It can be small scale, it can be large scale, it doesn't matter. Then there's an interviewer. The interviewer's position here is to help you tell the story. And that is actually where some of the help is. In the other model, you had to tell the story yourself, all by yourself, and be your own listener and your own writer and write it down. Here you have someone to help you along. It is very important that the interviewer offers positive help. First off, the interviewer should not comment on the story. The interviewer should not begin to have an opinion about the story or offer advice of what you should have done or anything like that. The interviewer should ask you very much about your behavior. What did you do? How did you feel? What did you say? What was your reaction to that? How did you interact with other people in the process? How did that feel? And so on. And if your answer is, at first I was annoyed, but then I came to realize that blah blah blah, then the interviewer should focus on your positive reaction, not the first one where you said, at first I was annoyed, because if the interviewer asks you about that, the whole story will turn negative, and that is not what we're after. If you're a good storyteller, the interviewer's role is very small and he or she doesn't have to say a lot. But if you have a hard time telling the story, they can step in and ask you questions that move you along, and they should very much ask about your behavior. What did you do? The two observers, at best there are two. You can actually do this with one observer, but two will work better. They have small notes, a little note block, you know, those colored note blocks, sticky notes, are very usable for this. And they try to look for the skills, the personality behind that behavior. So you, the interviewer, are talking about what you did. And then they are looking for why you could do it. They can also comment on the behavior, but what they do is every time they have something, a skill, something you're good at, a personal trait they can see here, they write it down on this little note and save it for later. So if they can look for skills and personality, that is great, but they can also look for behavior. Say, well, you are very good at math, or you did some really good calculations there. But they can also look for the personality behind it and say, well, you are very good at details, you are very good at looking at the bigger picture, you have a kind of personality where you remember everything and so on. What is important is that these people, they have no say in the story. They are perfectly still, they are just observers and they write it down. When the story is ended, they start giving you back the notes they have written and say, I noticed that you are good at people, you have good people skills. I noticed that you're a good negotiator. I noticed that you are very good at this and that and so on. If you don't have 2 observers but only 1, a very good interviewer can make notes too, because he or she is, sometimes they have time because you probably not tell the story that fast. So you can make do with just an interviewer and an observer, or they can share this between them so they're both interviewers and observers, but they should take it very easy and not compete about who is doing this fastest, because that will not give you the room to tell the story as you experience it. And it's very important that you also tell them about your emotions, your feelings, how you experience this, and not just the facts. Then I did this, then I did that, and so on. But really tell how did it feel? How did I experience this? What was my thoughts? What did I do then? And so on. In the end, you should have several notes from each, maybe 10, maybe 20, if they're doing good. And all these notes are different kinds of skills or personal traits you possess that you can write down about yourself. These tools are especially good when you apply for jobs, but they can be used also if you are thinking about changing the direction of your life. Should I do this? Should I do that? So anyway, this is almost always positive. What you get is feedback on your own positive story, so most of the time afterwards you will feel better about yourself. Other people have helped you to see good skills in yourself, and you should be in a very positive mode where you have more confidence in yourself. So next time I'll talk about how you choose between several options, but that is the last part of all that talk about getting on in your life after some kind of shit has happened. But these 2 tools can be very good. Also if nothing bad has happened, but you just need some kind of change and you're pondering over if you should change your line of work, do something else, move to another country or whatever, then this can be a very good help to make you assess what are my options, what are my skills. So, talk to you soon. Hope you enjoyed this. Write me back if you have any kind of feedback. Hi.